Hello, this is Kimberly Larson, and today I'm here just to answer a quick question from a viewer, and they wanted to know how they could do something like this over in Adobe Illustrator. And so quickly I wanted to show you how you might be able to accomplish this task. Now I will say that my workspace is set up to where I've got my appearance panel, I've got my swatches, I've got symbols, and I've got layers. And I'm pretty much going to jump back and forth between these to do this particular project. So first I went and I found an image. This is a photo that I took down in Driftwood Beach, down in Jekyll, and I used that as my background. And then I went in and designed the static images, and then lastly I just put my dynamic the scores or whatever, the stuff that would change each game. That way it was easy to find if I needed to update it later on. So one thing I did first is when I have my image, I want to pick a color scheme that I know is going to work. So I actually went over here to Adobe's color website, and while in this website I actually went over and I went and selected my image, and Adobe actually will go in and pick the color scheme for me. I'm signed in as myself, and so once I sign in with my Creative Cloud account, it exports my colors directly over into Illustrator. Now if you don't have that account, or if you're restricted with a school account, then you can just create your color from here. Then you can click on this create color from color wheel, and you'll notice that in here you'll actually get your hex and your RGB colors of those colors that were selected from the picture. So I've already done that, and you can see over here in my swatches panel I have my swatches that have already been imported. You'll notice that there's little white triangles in the corner, and that's because I went in and I took my swatches and I clicked on this global option. What that allows me to do is if I decide to change any of my colors, for example, I use this kind of dark blue color in here. I'm going to click on preview. If I actually go in here and change it, what's going to happen is it's going to change everywhere within that document, so I don't actually have to go in and try to select everything and change it all. So the global color is just a nice thing to have. I'm going to go ahead and click cancel because I want to keep my dark blue color I have. Next I'm actually going to go ahead and draw out this shape. So in order to draw the shape, I'm going to go ahead and get my rectangle tool, and I'm going to draw it out, and you'll notice that you have these rounded corner little nodes in each corner of this rectangle. So what I'm going to do is right now if I click and drag, you'll notice that it's going to go and curve in all edges, and I don't want to. I only want to curve in two of them. So if I go in here and click on this one, you'll notice there's now like a blue outline around it. So now, just like with any other program, if I hold down Shift, I can actually go and select the opposite one, and you'll notice that now has a blue outline while the other two diagonals are white. What's going to happen is when I click and drag, you'll notice that I'm only dragging in the rounded onto those two corners. So I've got my shape. Now what I want to do is I actually want to go in and make some adjustments. So you'll notice in this image over here there's a honeycomb kind of pattern that's underneath it. So you can go and make your pattern however you want to make it. You can just use the pattern tool here in Illustrator, or there are some built-in patterns as well. So let's just take a quick look. So one thing you'll notice, one of my favorite tools in Illustrator is actually the appearance panel. So I'm actually not going to come over here and use this fill and stroke. Instead, I'm going to use the appearance panel over here on the right. If your appearance panel is not visible, then you can come up here to Window and come down here to Appearance, and you can pop that up that way. So inside of here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and figure out what my fill color is and select it, and same thing with my stroke, as well as the width of the stroke that I want. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take and change the opacity. So instead of changing it in another location, if I change it here, I can actually change the opacity of just the fill and not mess with the stroke at all. So now I'm just going to go and bump this down, and all I'm doing is I'm messing with the opacity of the fill color. But I want to have another fill because I want one with texture. So what I can do is with this selected, I can come down here and I can click on the Add New Fill. And this is going to add another fill, but instead of using a color, instead I'm going to come over here to my libraries. I'm going to come down here to Pattern, and there's a bunch of different patterns. I'm just going to go with this basic graphic texture. And when this pops up, you'll notice that you have all sorts of textures that you can actually add inside of here. Once you find a texture that you like, so I'll just stick with this one, I can actually then change the opacity of just this texture. So it's just a hint of it, the texture in the background, just like with a honeycomb over on the other side. So if I zoom in here, you can see that I have my textured background. I have two different fills actually, and then I have a solid stroke that is at 100%. So now let's go ahead and look at the next step that I would take. I would actually take and make this symbol into a this shape, into a symbol. So what I would do is with this selected, I can just go ahead and click on this new symbol icon, and I can just say large brown area, sure. Click OK, and now I'm going to have this symbol will be in here. And what's nice about this is if I have this symbol several times in my document, so I've got this symbol twice. With the symbol in here, if I come in here and make an adjustment to my symbol, so let's say I change that fill color to a different fill color. The client comes back and wants a different color scheme. What I can do is when I change it one time in the symbol, it changes it in both locations or all the locations within that document. You can almost think of it similar to the global colors. You can think of this as almost like a global graphic in a sense. So so I would do that, and then next I actually would go and create this shape here, which is same exact process that I would do before. I would drag out my shape, whatever I want it to look like, and then I would go and grab my two corners. I would grab the first one, hold down Shift, grab the second one, drag in, and then I would go over to my appearance panel and I would select whatever color that I wanted to go with. I would change down that opacity of it. I would then go and add a fill just like I did before. Just do another fill over here. Go and select a pattern in the background, whatever I wanted the pattern to look like. And when I zoom in, you can see there's a little stippling pattern here. With this, I would also go and, just like with any of them, I would make it into a symbol. I can just take that and just click on the new symbol and small space holder. From here, I can actually take, and if I have this multiple times in my document, so I just held down the Alt key to make a duplicate, Shift to drag to make it, to have it go straight. Then you can just do Control D if you want to keep the same spacing for your duplicate. If I repeat this, I'm just going to do Alt Shift drag down here, and I can also do Control D or Command D to make another row of it equal distance. But now all of these are actual symbols, so they're just instances of my one symbol. So if I went in here and I actually changed this color or changed the pattern or whatever it might be, when I come out of this, you'll see that it actually updated it in every single instance that it was ever in my document. So I hope that you found this helpful, and I can't wait to see what you come up with.